Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to do a complete Elliott waves analysis on Ondo and reassess this whole situation since we got this insane move on the downside in a lot of charts. And this chart is from TradingView, which the lowest low is now sitting at about 26.8 cents, which is insane. Now, let's just get one thing out of the way. I do not believe, at least by the end of this cycle in Ondo, we are going to go down and fill the gaps that were created as a result of our bounce back being way too fast. And basically, we go down to about like, I don't know, let's say 40 cents area. Why? Because I do not believe that this shadow was actually created naturally. So I'm gonna say, you know what, we don't really need to go down anymore in Ondo. And in fact, I am kind of a fan of having in this area in like very short term a bit of a V-shaped recovery, suggesting, yeah, we are probably, I'm gonna say soon, maybe in the next 10 to 15 days, going to completely recover from all this madness and get back above these levels about, let's say, 19 cents area. Do I have some more reasons to believe this is going to play out? I think so, yes. You see, when we got this move down, when we got this face down, this actually happened a little bit too fast, and as a result of it, on daily time frame, we created a beautiful clear gap, which I think it was somewhere between 95 cents to about $8. And since I believe gaps 95+% of the time are going to get filled, well, okay, I'm gonna say, you know what, in Ondo, we are going to continue our move up and fill this gap for the first target, but we are hopefully going to go quite a bit higher than that. Now, before we get into what is going on in this region, specifically in terms of Elliott waves, let's actually do a complete analysis. And here is what I have to say. In Ondo, not a whole lot actually changed, since I do not believe that off of the lowest low in this area, we are having a 5. We were always saying that odds are this is ABC down into A, ABC up into B, and a 5 wave down into our C leg, completing the subwaves for a beautiful ABC running flat structure. And sure, this move down did kind of invalidate a short-term scenario that we were considering in this region, but overall, nope, it didn't actually damage the chart at all. Now I'm just going to say, you know what, maybe as opposed to just having a running flat in here, this was a running flat, sure, but into a wave W, correction for wave X, and another move down into our wave Y. Bottom line is, I still do believe that in Ondo, by the end of this cycle, we are most likely going to have another beautiful move on the upside, and on a higher degree, we may end up having ABC into wave W, correction for wave X, and another ABC on the upside actually into our wave Y. And this is unlike a lot of other cryptos. Why? Because the idea in a lot of projects is that we are going to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but in Ondo, I'm actually counting on only and only a 3-leg move on the upside, which even in this case, I do expect Ondo to take the highs in here about $2 for the first target, and we can definitely go quite a bit higher than that. So in terms of overall structures, not a whole lot has changed, and I actually have a unified picture in here. Why? Because you see, for instance, if you go back and check out my Cardano video, you realize that in Coinbase, we actually didn't have that much of a big shadow, and that definitely affected our analysis. And that's why we gave in the ADA video 2 different analyses based on each chart. However, in Ondo, if you want to go according to this chart, which is from TradingView, okay, in it, as you can see, we clearly took the lows down here about 62.2 cents. Now, how about Coinbase's chart? Let's check it out. There we go. As you can see, thankfully, we also in this phase took this important low. So overall, yeah, okay, one way or the other, seems like that we absolutely took the lows. And that means what? Yep, if you want to be bullish in Ondo, you have to start counting waves from the lowest low down here. And by the way, if you want to go according to this chart from Coinbase, I think you really cannot help but think, you know what, maybe this is a Wyckoff accumulation pattern, and I do think this is most likely going to play out. This can be our first test, this is second test, and this might be our final test. And what's gonna happen after this pattern is complete? Yup, we are going to get a bounce back and finally get a break of this important resistance area. Why do I think the next time that we get to here, we are going to break it? Because this is actually kind of a weak resistance since we touched it way too many times. Let's have a quick count. There we go. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times we touched this region. No, 6, 7 times we touched it, and every single time we got some sort of a reaction from it. So I'm gonna say the next time that we get to here, odds are you are going to see a very quick and a strong move above here, do a pullback, and then a continuation of the move up, and the road on the upside at that point is going to be much more clear. So overall in Ondo, as you can see, the structures still do look very much optimistic. How about the short-term price action? You see, the truth is you can consider many different possibilities in here, and here are my thoughts. I think one way or the other, no matter which possibility do you want to go with in Ondo, you should just take every single thing a step by a step, and for now at least just think and analyze the next possible move and not a whole lot more. And based on that, I can tell you, well, okay, in Ondo we can have two different counts, but generally the conclusion is actually going to be the same. Why? Because you can say maybe we are having, excuse me, from this point 5 up into 1, correction for 2, and then another move up into wave 3, 4, 5, and this can be another 1 and a 2 but on a lower degree relative to this one. And what's next? Yep, okay, probably another move up into wave 3, 4, 5. This is one scenario. The other one suggests instead of having a series of 1-2s, this point is actually the low of our correction, and we're just having a 1-2 setup, meaning what? One way or the other makes sense to expect some good moves up in Ondo in order to completely, hopefully soon, recover from all this madness. Now, here is the deal. In like very short term, and by that I mean in the next 72 hours to 5 days, we can consider different counts, and here is what I have to say. I do think that this is kind of a slow move down. This seems to be an impulse on the upside, so probably soon, maybe even by the time that this video goes out, you are going to have another move on the upside in Ondo. At that point, if this is part of a correction structure, then okay, what you want to see is a move down in order to take this important low, because that is going to pretty much confirm that we are having an ABC in here and not an impulse. On the other hand, if the low of our correction in Ondo in like very short term is in, and for instance, this is, excuse me, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, I'm gonna say to about here, followed by an ABC flat down, then okay, after having a quick move on the upside, you want to have a consolidation and then another move up. If you see a very slow and choppy move down in here, at that point, count on this move to continue. I'm gonna say at kind of a bit of a rapid pace. Why? Because odds are this whole move on the upside that we are having in Ondo at that point is going to be into a wave 3 and then 4 and then 5. And you want to remember one very important characteristic of a wave 3 is what? You know it, being kind of a strong move on the upside. So if we end up getting what we just talked about, count on the next phase on the upside in Ondo to be quite strong, and I would say for that matter quite fast, and hopefully we are soon completely going to recover from all this. So let's have a quick conclusion and wrap up today's update. In Ondo, I do not believe that a whole lot has changed, and in fact, if you like this chart from Coinbase, well, okay, you can definitely argue we are having a Wyckoff accumulation pattern, meaning what? Odds are this is actually our final low in Ondo, at least by the end of this cycle, and the next move is going to be a good one up, which in it we are going to finally get a break of this important resistance, which the higher band of it is about $1.15, and at that point we're gonna go probably quite a bit higher than that. I don't know, maybe a better target in the short term is going to be somewhere around the $1.50 region. But overall, if you don't really care about what is happening in the short term, I think you can expect by the end of this cycle, Ondo to take the all-time high right in here about $2.1 and maybe hopefully go even quite a bit higher than that. So as you can see, I'm still here, I'm still bullish in Ondo, and as long as I'm not proven otherwise, I am going to remain optimistic. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Ondo's chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.